Hello, my name is Bethany Stahl, and I am a full-time author and illustrator, and if you are watching this video, then you are taking part in my ads class. If you are watching this video for the first time and you have no idea what I'm talking about, make sure you go to part 1 of this series to start with us and create ads with us. That way we can work together to creating profitable Amazon ads. If you are coming back in this journey and rechecking in, welcome to our ads class part 3, and if you are looking for more, go over to patreon.com/Bethany Stahl, where you can join our self-pub squad or our workshop squad and join us in having access to additional videos, classes, documents, and more. And let's jump into today's class.
All right, so let's get started by opening up our automatic campaign. Now, this is the campaign we created in the very last class. This is going to be a little bit easier to start tweaking and understanding before we jump back into that manual ad. Now, I have let 2 weeks pass between my last video and this video, so I have the beauty of recording in advance and letting my ads age. That way I can show you. So your ad should be at least a week old at this point. And I do recommend, if you're watching this in the future, that you do give your ad at least a week to simmer and start working before you try to tweak anything. So let it try and figure itself out. That way we can get enough data so we can then understand what needs to change. So what's really cool is I've spent $95 on this campaign, which is a lot to spend in just 2 weeks. However, you can see with the sales that I've made $708 total, and my ACOS is 13%. Now, we really want to focus on this ACOS number. So that is how much we are spending compared to how much we are selling. We want that number as low as possible. So the closer to 1%, the better we are. Figure out how much can you spend on your book. So this will vary depending on each of our profits from the book, because you never want to spend more than you're making. And while it looks like, oh, I've spent $95 and made $708, that is the gross sales. So that is not my profits. 708 is about 60 books, which for me is a little more than $210. So that's the realistic spend. So it's like, oh, okay. So this way I know I spent $95, but I've still made about $210. So I'm still positive. For me, if my ACOS is 20% or under, I'm profitable. And then sometimes I'll let it go up to 30% if it's something I really want to push, or if it's something that I can start to keep reining down. So if it does go higher, you can bring it back down. Just make sure you are at least breaking even, and hopefully you are profitable. So 13% is absolutely phenomenal. I'm very happy with that. I am making quite a bit off of this ad, so this is good. Now let's take a look at where it's spending its money and how we can tailor that to be even more profitable. So we want to make sure this 13% stays at 13% and starts going down. So in order to keep this ad going as optimally as possible, let's look down at these automatic targeting groups. So you can see right here for the substitutes, I'm looking at a 55% ACOS. That is not good because that means it is not profitable. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and shut off the substitutes by flipping that little switch over there. And that way it will no longer display those, because that's not profitable. What you can see is the close match is at 8% and the loose match is at 11%. Both of which are doing absolutely great. Now, what we also have to realize is when it says orders, what that means is how many orders were placed for the book. But what you can see is it says I have 31 orders, but I've made $700. That doesn't add up if you do my orders times my retail cost of my book. It doesn't make sense. So where is the additional income coming into play? What that means is one of those orders ordered multiple books. So it does not count the specific number of books sold. So if you're noticing, hey, I remember this one time I had one order and I made like $500 on the ad. So of course it looked amazing. But what that means is I had one order placed for a huge amount of books. And you will see that happen. So just be aware, it's not technically a discrepancy. It's just something you need to be aware of how AMS tracks your sales and orders. And for the purposes of learning, I decided to give this ad another 3 weeks. So I doubled the amount of time this ad was around to see how is it doing in the future. So I know a lot of ads classes teach you how to get it started, but it doesn't keep showing how it maintains over time, over months, over years. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of a look into of how we set it up. This is what it looks like in about 2.5 weeks. And now let's look at it more than a month past when we created it. You can see now I've spent $200 and my ACOS has gone up just a little bit to 17%. That is still very profitable, so I'm still very happy about that. And now our sales are at $1,164. So how I figure out my actual profits is I take the sales number, so 1,164, and I divide that by $12 because I know that's my retail cost for this book. That means I've sold 97 books. So now what I can do is take that number and multiply it by my profits. So from this ad campaign of spending $200, I've made roughly $350, which is good because I'm still making money. And I know some of you are like, well, is it worth it if you're only making, $100 after spending $200? Of course it is, because you are spending money to make money. And what's the greatest part of ads is that you're reaching an audience that you may not have reached before. So your book is going to be finding more people who care about your stories and who care about your message. And it is a really great way to network and grow. So now let's go and check in on our automatic targeting groups and see who's being good and who may need tweaked. So on this chart here, I can compare from last time. I was at 17% on March 1st, where I made $1,000 in sales. And then looking at April 1st, so I was only into April by about 8 days. So I was only a few weeks into April. And so far I made 72 sales and the ACOS was 23%. So what you can see is it's doing worse this month, but that's okay because 23% is still savable. So we can save that and rein that back in. So I'm going to go ahead and look down. Right now, our loose match is at 16%, which is great for the lifetime. And then our close match is at 12%. And what I'm going to do is change that lifetime to the last 30 days to see a better view of it. And we can see what happened was that loose match is up to 24%, whereas our close match is at 9%. So that one is still doing better than the loose match. So at this point, we have a few different options. We can let the ad run and see if that continues to worsen or if it gets better. We can also then edit the ad spend. So maybe instead of 28 cents, we can move it down to 27 or 26 and see if that helps. If that doesn't, we can just sort of start tweaking little things like that or just turn it off and leave it at that very, very profitable close match. Either way, just play with it and tweak things and tailor it to you. Every ad is going to act a little bit different than the last, so it is wise to pay attention to what you've done. That way you can know which direction you want to move into the future. Regardless, this ad has been incredibly profitable and I'm really, really happy about it. Now let's jump far into the future. So now this ad was created in March and we are in June now. So we've just passed our 3-month mark with this ad. And the loose match, as predicted, started to do worse. However, that did make our most amount of sales. but I went ahead and turned it off because it wasn't profitable. I have not looked at this ad since the last time we visited it together. So since in April, I did not look at it all of May, and you can see when I ignored it, it got worse. But if I now start to rein it in, close off that loose match, and let's keep that close match on, because we can see in this lifetime, this is really profitable. It has only had 4 sales, so it's not going to do great in terms of performing with making a lot of sales, but when it does make sales, it's really profitable. And then if we look at these last 30 days with this ad set, we can see that this has made 17, but it's been at 44%, which isn't profitable. So if I do want to leave this on, what I can do, since this isn't turning as good as a profit as I want, I can just go ahead and turn this whole thing down, and let's just say, sure, you can spend, but you're not going to be allowed to spend more than 20 cents. And I can check back in on this. If I want to be super conservative, I can turn this off. For now, I might just leave it and check back on in it in a few days. I have been ignoring ads for the last few months because, as you know, I've been incredibly busy and I have just finished a young adult novel, woohoo, but I have put everything aside in that case. What I do recommend is you check on your ads at least once a month. If you can check them once a week, that's great. And if you're a beginner and you want to get your feet really wet, go ahead and check in on them every single morning when you are brand new, just so you can get really familiar with it. I used to wake up every single day when I very first became a full-time author, and the first thing I did every morning was run through and optimize my ads, and my ads were performing so well. Luckily, at this point, as I further myself in my career, if one starts to go unprofitable, it's okay because the majority of them are profitable, so I'm not losing as much as I would have in the beginning letting ads run wild. Ads do only make up about 30% or lower of my overall income and sales. So this is a very small portion we are looking at, but this is a portion that can help you grow organically in the future. So that's something to be aware of. Your ads are not going to be your only sales. Your ads should be a very, very, very small percentage of your overall sales. But they help, they work, and they propel you forward. So even though I ignored this one for a month, again, which I don't recommend you do, and it got a little wonky here in May, we are reining it back in, and you can see its ACOS for this month is 17%, and I will continue to monitor this one closely to make sure we keep getting back to where we were over here with high sales and a low ACS. So we will continue to work in that direction. Now let's go ahead and check in on our manual ad campaign. Now, when you are looking at your automatic ads, you can sort these in a variety of ways, and you can really tailor this. What I like to do for my columns is I like to have the bid, the spend, orders, sales, and ACOS. So to change that, just go to customize your columns right here, and you can pick what you'd like to see. Now, if there are other things that you care about or you are really looking for, you can go ahead and click on those different columns and have them showing up. But this is the setup I prefer. Now, when I go in and I edit my ads, what I will do is start by looking at the highest ACOS and shutting those off. So you can see I already shut off this one and this one. This one's still doing okay. So anything above 30%, I shut off. Then I will go ahead and see what I'm spending. So I will click on spend to see what I've spent the most on. Now, if I have a good ACOS, I ignore it and just scroll down until I find something like this. I've spent $3 on it and there's nothing here, so I will go ahead and shut that off. And I will continue that down until I reach 70 cents. So 70 cents to $1 is typically my, you know what, this isn't gonna work out. I like to be very conservative with my spending because this is my full-time job. This is what I need to pay my mortgage and everything of that sort. So I do need to make sure that I'm not going crazy with my spending. If you are in the position to where you can spend more and take more risk, by all means, go for it. However, if you're like me and you really need to be super on top of your money and you need to know where all that's spending and you can't spend a dime out of place, I like 70 cents. That seems to be the sweet spot, and I've noticed things that I let run higher than 70 cents continue to perform poorly if they haven't already performed by 70 cents, especially since we're using such a low bid. Now, if your bid is, $1, you may need to give it $3 or $4 to see if it really gets through. So essentially, I give it up to 3 clicks. If it does not perform within 3 clicks, then it's gone. So like I said, I'm very conservative about the spending. So I make sure I track that down. Now, once we've gone through and cleared the bad ACOS and the bad spends, I will then sort ACOS again from the bottom to the top. Now, look at this. This has had 17 cents spent and made $24. So that bid right here can come up. Now, what we can see is the suggested bid for this is 38 cents. I can go ahead and click apply to get that suggested bid and start outbidding other people for this particular keyword because I know that people buy it. And look at this one, only 12 cents for a sale, 19 cents for a sale. What I like to do is at least have 2 or 3 orders here. That way I know it's a profitable keyword and it's not just a fluke of somebody clicking on it and liking it. So this one, I've raised the bid. I've only spent 33 cents and made 2 sales, which is fantastic. So this is actually an even higher suggested bid. So I'm going to go ahead and put that up to 50 cents. Again, these are all really good. Now, what you can do with these keywords is pull these keywords that are over here in these really well-performing ACOSs, and what you can do is create a new campaign with only these keywords and look at them. What are the keywords? Was it a particular book? Was it a particular author? Was it a search keyword that is interesting? So depending on what it is, then go to that keyword and target it, or even look it up on Google. What other products are coming up? What other books are coming up? What other authors are being recommended? And really hone in on that, because if they are really liking a certain keyword, that is gold. And what you can do is find that audience who's interacting with that keyword. And sometimes they catch me totally off guard with the keywords. It might not even be one of the keywords I thought was going to do well, but take it and run with it. This keyword in particular has been incredibly profitable for me. You can see I've spent $7 on it, and it has made 21 orders with $280 in sales. Fantastic. I always bump up this one to $1, and I put it in every campaign because I know this keyword sells my book like wildfire. And you will find that. And why I've blurred out my keywords is because they're not important to you. I promise. There are people who will ensure like, oh, this keyword gets you all the sales. That's not true. It is so specific to you in your book. This keyword right here that is making this money would not sell anybody else's book aside from my own and maybe 1 or 2 others that are incredibly similar. You will find that you have a similar writing style to other authors who people really like. You will have a similar illustration style to other illustrators that people really like. And you finding your own little perfect niche is when you're going to do really well. So just keep going through here and playing with the bids. Now, if you forget what you've raised your bid on, you can always sort it by your highest bid to your lower bids and see what you are spending your money on, just in case one goes a little bit crazy. All of these are still doing really good, so they can stay. Again, to hone in, instead of lifetime, you can change it to the last 30 days or the last week to see if they're still performing well, or maybe they performed well quite a while ago and they're not doing so well anymore. And keywords will do that. They will not always be profitable from now till the end of time. I've had some other books and authors that have really been great keywords back when, but those books and authors have since aged and authors have stopped writing or have moved into different genres. So now my books don't sell well with them anymore, as we've sort of diverged on our own separate paths. But now I can find new authors and new books and new keywords that are similar to more who I am now in my brand versus other authors who have now created their own brand. So you will keep switching which groups you're close with as new authors join the group, as old authors leave the group, and as the group evolves over time. So again, really play in here and hone in on this. I like to go through, like I said, manual campaigns. I would recommend at least once a week when you are very first starting. And then at very minimum, check it once a month if you are pretty confident with how it has set up. Now, ads can run forever. I've had ads running since 2019 and they are still doing well. I've had ads that will fizzle out within the month. So be very careful and check on them frequently. I hope this video has helped. Next video, I will be doing another Q&A about AMS. So if you have questions, make sure you put them in the comments of any of these 3 videos and ask me your questions. And don't forget, this month in the workshop squad, we will be going over AMS in the live stream settings. So it is an intimate setting where you can ask questions and we can work together on your ads and seeing where might things be going wrong, how can we improve, and I will look at your books to see maybe if your ads aren't performing, maybe your book needs a little bit of work, and where is that area that you need work on. So there is a lot to ads. Feel free to ask questions. I will be closing up this series next video with that Q&A. And until then, feel free to reach out to me on Patreon for additional resources or to ask questions. And I will see you all next week.